Now, the National Council of the SPCA has warned that South Africa is facing a potential avian influenza crisis. Without quick action, another outbreak could severely impact the poultry industry, harm wild bird populations and cause great suffering for millions of birds. The NSPCA says the culling infected birds is the quickest way to stop the disease from spreading. But vaccination could also help reduce future outbreaks. Senior Inspector Nazareth Appalsamy from the NSPCA Farm Animal Protection Unit joins me now. Nazareth, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it. Let's just talk about where this rising then comes from. Why has it sprung up all over again, has avian flu?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. So, firstly, I think that it's not just the NSPCA who's concerned. I think that the poultry industry, all the producers in the country, poultry vets, I think everyone's concerned because what is happening currently in the UK and the US, where millions of birds are now currently infected, and producers and industry are forced to cull these birds. So I think on a global scale, we are concerned because we understand that these wild birds that are silent carriers of this disease will migrate, not when, but will definitely migrate to South Africa. So this increases the chances of us also being infected.
Yeah, where's the cause, if I may ask for that then? Where did it actually spring up from? Why has it now reared its ugly head up again, especially after we've had such a difficult case of it pretty recently?
So we know in South Africa, the worst has happened since 2017. We know that it sometimes skip a year or skip a two, and especially when our countries abroad experience severe this highly pathogenic virus outbreaks, we know that it is only a matter of time before these wild birds that carry these disease actually will return to Africa. And then this is what makes the risk so high, is that despite the biosecurity measures that producers implement, we must understand that it is almost impossible to prevent a wild bird from landing on a poultry farm, as an example. And then when one farm is infected, it just spreads like rapid fire through other birds in the country.
Yeah, and I think this is the awareness that I think people then need to have and need to put forward then. Now, you're putting forward that ultimately the culling of these birds is the best way to curb this, so no other way possible?
So, obviously, vaccination provides herd immunity, and we've seen it with other diseases. The more you vaccinate, the easier it is to provide herd immunity. And we know from years and years of experience, because the NSPCA has been at the forefront when it comes to culling. We have been present. We had to make sure that humane methods are done with mass culling, and we've seen the suffering. We also understand that the easiest way to contain the spread of disease is to cull. And as horrible as it sounds, it actually, if you cull, it will prevent the spread of disease.
Yeah, so how's this awareness then drive going to be set up? I mean, does this ultimately mean you then have to test every single animal or wild bird you get in contact with? How exactly do you figure, and even those symptoms as well that come forward, what exactly do they then look like in terms of awareness then for farmers and the like as well across the country?
So I think that any poultry producer that get infected, I think they'll know straight away. They will have hundreds of thousands of losses of birds in days. They die rapidly, and there are symptoms. There's discoloring of the comb, and et cetera, and the birds basically develop flu-like symptoms. But I think that any producer is aware of the risks that's coming, and I think that the concerns is a global concern, and that producers in South Africa are very concerned about the fact that these vaccines are not being rolled out, and that there is so much hurdles in place that not a single producer in the country can comply with getting these vaccines.
Very difficult then as well. How big an impact is this said to have on South Africa's farms, yes, but also wild birds as well?
Well, we've seen it. A few years ago, you've seen it in retail stores. When you go there, there's no eggs on the shelves, and if they are, basically they are at a very high price. So it will have a huge effect on the economy. We know that in terms of animal welfare, there will be millions of birds that will have to be culled. So I think just on those two factors, the economy and the suffering, it raises huge red flags as to, are we prepared? Have we done everything that we need to do to make sure that when this lies or gets to our doorstep, are we prepared? Or have we done everything to mitigate the risk or reduce the risk, so that if we are infected, it doesn't affect the large populations in the country?
Very, very important. Being prepared ahead of all of this. Nazareth Appalsamy, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Then forewarned is forearmed. Senior Inspector for the National Council of Societies for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, NSPCA, then as well. Then worrying again about avian flu and perhaps sparking a major return.